Hello everybody and welcome to Adam's channel. This channel is all about building fun projects in his shop, motorcycle rides, and upgrading his space from your average home garage to an all-out mad scientist facility. Or mad technician as he prefers it. As a lot of you probably know, Adam has been single-handedly helping me with my 1982 Volkswagen Vanagon, and today I'm gonna share with you one of my favorite projects that he's tackled so far. Let's begin. Now, if you're familiar with these 80s hippie rigs, one thing you know about them is they have some of the ugliest steering wheels you've ever seen. The one in my van was so bad that someone had to kill multiple animals and use their skin to cover the damn thing. Now, I figured I could just buy a stitched leather steering wheel cover and remedy the situation. But after searching the internet for quite a while, I wasn't able to actually find a steering wheel cover in the size that I needed. See, these Vanagon wheels are about 17 inches, and the only 17-inch covers are the ones you just shove on. I was looking for something a little more permanent than that, and after a while of searching, I finally found myself a 17-inch steering wheel cover on Amazon. Alright guys, so today, I'm gonna take this old steering wheel cover off of here. This thing has been on here the whole time, kinda ugly, and a little mismatched. So the first thing that we have to do is remove this. Now one thing I didn't mention was this thing. This new one is apparently 17 inches, and my steering wheel, as far as I measured before, is 17 inches. So, when I was throwing this on here earlier, however, it didn't seem like it was large enough. So, we'll have to find that out, but we will once I get this old one off. Now, I spent some time removing the old wrap off the steering wheel, and I think I got a little bored while I was working on it. The guy that I bought this from, I may one day go see him again and be like, hey, check out what I've done with this van ever since I bought it from you. Hopefully he's like, well, you know, maybe I'll buy that back from you for about like, I don't know, $20,000. I'll be like, sorry man, this is my girl, and I love her, and I've done too much to her. Things you don't want to hear about. God, that's disgusting. Alright, so I grabbed some Goo Gone, and hopefully that will clean up the gooiness on the steering wheel. If I can turn this enough, no, I guess not. Normally the steering wheel will lock up on me if I try to turn it too much. I was hoping, oh god damn it. I was hoping to lock it up. I'm gonna piss my neighbors off big time. They're gonna be like, what are you honking for? You take it and you stretch it all the way down. Oh crap. Yeah, I think this is 14. I don't think I have a tape measure. Alright, so I got a tape measure, so we're supposed to go edge to edge and find out, and it's 17! Alright, so that's a 17. This on Amazon claims to be a 17, but it doesn't seem like it is. Yeah, that seems like it's a 14 or something. That does not seem like a 17. Does that look like it's gonna wrap around? I don't think so. So I took the steering wheel cover off and threw it into my brother's Prius as he had a 14-inch steering wheel in there. And what do you know, it fit like a glove. Happy birthday, Dev, it's all yours. Now I spent some more time looking online for a new steering wheel cover, and I almost bought some cheap 17-inch slip-on cover. Then by a stroke of fate, I ended up down the rabbit hole and found myself this beautiful red mahogany 18-inch steering wheel, and I knew I had to have it. This is where the project begins. Now I decided to get a new steering wheel for a few reasons. Firstly, my horn was so sensitive that barely touching it would make it go off. There were multiple times when I was in the drive-thru and my hand would brush up against the wheel and I'd make all the workers inside jump by accident. Probably got some spitty food for that one, but either way. These Vanagon steering wheels are also pretty ugly, and when I saw this wooden steering wheel, I knew I had to have it. Now this wasn't going to be as easy as popping one of them out and popping the new one in. First thing was needed was this Grant steering wheel adapter. See, this adapter would allow you to fit a Grant steering wheel onto the Vanagon. But you see, I didn't buy a Grant steering wheel. This is a Forever Sharp. However, Adam was going to use the Vanagon bit of this adapter and then craft his own secondary adapter so they'd marry together and lock the new wheel into place. The only thing I needed was some aluminum, which I purchased from a local metal shop. Now that we had everything we needed, we could finally start on this adapter. Alright, so Adam and I just went to the metal shop and we picked out a cake Adam is going to fashion an adapter out of this thing. So let's see how that goes. Adam's first order of business was to put the aluminum cake into his lathe and shave it down so that it was nice and smooth. You'll soon find out that this project took a lot of patience. After he'd faced the chunk of aluminum, he now had to measure the diameter he required for the adapter. See, this piece of aluminum was a lot larger than necessary, so he spent some more time grinding the edges off. After that was done, he bored a hole directly into the center of the cake, just so he had a frame of reference for later. Once that hole had been drilled, it was now time to remove the adapter from the rest of the aluminum. So I'm fixing up Adam's car today. He called me over because he needed some help.
For all the naysayers out there talking about how Barry doesn't do anything, proof.
Sometimes.
Right there.
That's great. Now, using a saw to cut this aluminum was a huge pain in the ass. We must have spent about an hour and a half just trading off when Adam fabricated a base to hold the aluminum cylinder. He then zip-tied the aluminum to the wood base, threw the chunk into his bandsaw, and just like that, we had our piece. Now if you look at this Grant adapter, you'll notice there are 3 holes that secure it to a Grant steering wheel. So Adam's next step was to throw this aluminum into his milling machine and drill out those holes so that they would match the Grant. Adam told me that this was the most complex thing that he'd ever made with his lathe, so if this gets a bit confusing, don't worry. It'll all start to make sense soon. After those holes had been drilled, he threw the chunk back into his lathe and began painting it. He then measured the inside of the steering wheel and marked the painted chunk before etching more of the metal away. I gotta be honest, I wasn't entirely sure what he was doing until he finished this part, and I gotta say, I was not expecting it to turn out as perfect as it did. Adam then used the steering wheel and a punch to get a precise idea of where he'd have to drill next. See, the bottom side of this aluminum would attach to the Grant adapter, while the top side of the aluminum would attach to the steering wheel. He drilled out the holes and then tapped them so the steering wheel screws would fit. Now this is one thing I love about watching Adam work. Every now and then he stops his project and he starts building a tool. I always try to see if I can guess what it is that he's making. So he grabs a punch tool, throws it into his lathe, and takes the edges off. He then inserted a new pin into it and put it into his milling machine. He designed a tap follower on a whim to make sure he had a perfect alignment when he was tapping his holes.
So now that'll hold the downward pressure and it holds it straight up and down, so now I can focus on tapping.
Wow. So all that there, what he made was, what would you even call this? Like a pressure balance?
It's called a tap follower.
A tap follower.
Yeah.
So that he didn't have to worry about messing up these taps. Now, looking at this, I imagined this was the end. Boy, was I wrong. Adam didn't like the chunky look of the adapter, so he popped it into his lathe one more time to clean up the edges. He then started drilling out the middle of the aluminum plate so the Grant adapter and the wires for the horn would fit through. Adam really spent a lot of time on this project, and it looked so gorgeous by the end. So Adam starts drilling into this hole and I put the camera down for a minute and he goes, "Yeah, you could be recording this, but it's kind of boring." Oh, that's so good. All that was left was to put the new mechanism together and throw it in the van. Now, I know I say this a lot, but you may think this project was over, and so did we. However, there were a couple things that I brought up to Adam after testing the new wheel out for a day. So the other day, Adam threw this steering wheel on, and I could not be more grateful. I love this steering wheel, I love everything about it, it's gorgeous, and he made the most beautiful metal adapter for it. If I can focus on it. Now, I hate to even say anything, but as I'm driving, I'm flicking the blinker system. I'm flicking the windshield wiper system. So Adam is actually thinking of taking another long piece of aluminum and adding another couple inches to this bracket so that I'll have a little more clearance. Funnily enough, if I want to turn my brights on, I actually can't unless I go down here and click it. So I think today is possibly about problem solving. And god damn it, I hate to complain, because Adam has done so much for me. He's such a lovely guy. Look at him over there, just being awesome. Well, if you can see him there. You know, just being awesome. But thank you, Adam. Thank you. You're freaking awesome. Now, when I initially told Adam about these steering wheel obstacles, I said that it would just take some time for me to get used to it. He looked at me, shook his head, and grabbed the remaining piece of aluminum that hadn't been used and began crafting a spacer so this wouldn't be an issue. After another day of etching the metal away with his lathe, drilling more holes into the spacer so they align with the adapters, and shaping the metal the same way he'd shaped the first cake, my steering wheel fit like a dream. I honestly have no idea where I'd be on this van without Adam. He went from helping me with my wiring harness to fixing up my transmission, and now he helps me with everything. He's a really good guy, and I implore you hit that subscribe button on his channel. God, now that I think about it, I can't believe how far I've come. From a PC gaming hardware technician to full-blown hippie vagabond. Back when I was more into PC gaming, I would have tried to find a way to computerize everything. Like, for example, I had a friend of mine who replaced his steering wheel with a storage device. Bet that was a hard drive.